Introduce ourselves. I'm Evan Mathis. I'm the Director of Collections and Exhibitions. And we'll just flutter on the table this way.
Shio, I'm Odzei. I'm the registrar here and happy to assist you on the panel.
Okay. I'm Michelle Wrong. I'm Cherokee and Creek, and I live in the Wolftown community. You're talking to this.
My name is Dylan Morgan. I'm a member of the Eastern Band of Cherokee, and I live in the Wolftown community.
My name is Isabella Sanuk. I'm EBCI, and I grew up in Silva, but now I live in Brooklyn, New York.
Shio Udesti Dagwado, Zishkohi Dugwainashan. My name is Shipman. I'm from the Birdtown community now. YOHE for life, though. Hey. I'm EBCI, and yeah, happy to be here.
Shio, Taya Magai Dagwado, Zishkohi Dugwaino Shan. I said hello everyone, my name's Tara McCoy and I'm from the Birdtown community. And I'm also ABCI member.
All right, so next we're going to let each artist introduce their art that's in the show. We're going to be starting with Isabella Sanuk, Women Are Not for Consumption. Isabella, can you please describe the art piece that you submitted? And I've got a couple other questions for you.
Yeah, so this painting it's depicting a female torso, and I added in different elements of the things I was learning about when I was working here at the museum last summer. And it was just different like historical and cultural elements that I found interesting. So there's, the beads, and there's different geometric tattoos, and there's also like a vine going around the stomach, and I just kind of wanted to represent a woman but without like a face. So I think women can kind of see themselves in this portrait. Yeah.
Okay, and why did you choose this particular piece for the Disruption exhibit?
I painted this specifically for this exhibit because I wanted to talk about my experience as a Cherokee woman. I think that I can be kind of insecure about even saying that because I didn't really grow up in Cherokee or around a lot of my Cherokee family members. I did a little bit when I was younger, but I think like coming here and working and being around people like me and people that understand things more than other people I know do, I think it's helped me like understand myself and that more. So I wanted to depict that. Also working here, it's like we're trying to educate people in the best way that we can about ourselves, and still people will come in. I remember like working in the front office and people would come in and say like unnecessary comments about me and say that I looked like a character from like a movie of like an Indian woman or something, and they just degrade you to like a stereotype or an image, and we're so much more than that. So I wanted to kind of talk about that more.
Very cool. Thank you for sharing that. Up next, we have Chi Shipman with Woodpecker Pot. Chi, can you please describe the art piece that you submitted?
It's a piece that I made with Tara McCoy. I took her pottery class, and I'd taken some pottery classes at Western in experimental archaeology, and I didn't think I was very good at making like a traditional pot, because we would take images and pots that are found in the archaeological record and try to make them ourselves, and I was like, oh, I don't think it's really that great. And when Tara offered her class, this just I was like, well, I want to make a big pot. So that's what I started to do. And at the time I was finishing my degree at Western, and Dr. Brett Riggs had showed us pottery paddles from, the archaeological record that they had found, and this woodpecker was a part of that. And I put it on there, and I was just like, you couldn't see it. I was like, it's just not enough. And I was like, well, I don't want to put paint on it, So, so that's what I did. And the museum was nice enough to want it for their collection. And so, yeah, I said, sure, let's put it in there.
Very cool. And then what was the significance for you of this piece being in the disruption exhibit?
I think it's really neat. It was important to me, or it was significant for me, because it made me feel like an artist. After our pottery class, we had the art show, and it was just like, wow, like I'm an artist now. Like, it just kind of blew my mind, because I don't think I've ever seen myself in that way. And yeah, so.
Very cool. Thank you for sharing.
Thanks.
Up next, we have Dylan Morgan with Untitled River Cane Mat. Dylan, can you please describe the art piece that you submitted?
Okay, so the piece that you see behind me, what I submitted it's all made out of river cane material. That's like the bigger part of the material that I use in there. But the two patterns that you see on there's a noonday star in the middle, and then we have the two crosses at the top and the bottom of them. And the reason I ended up making this piece for the museum is generally the patterns in there, to me, they kind of have a lot of representations towards me as well. I feel like I made that piece through my eyes, more or less made it for me. But it was just really what I was feeling at the time. And when you got the star in the middle, everybody kind of knows that one as the sun rises in the east and it sets in the west. And we always have that looking for like tomorrow compared to like yesterday. So I put that pattern on there mainly for me, but not even that, just mainly hopefully it's like for the community, for everybody to be focused on tomorrow instead of be worrying about yesterday, dwelling on everything in the past, because we're still living, we're still rolling on. And then with the two crosses that you see, that represents essentially like the fire, like the four logs crossed with each other laying in there. And of course put that one on there just because it represented a lot to me, just because our program here, we are the Atila Anotashki, and we are essentially the fire builders. So I just wanted to have that on my piece as well, just also kind of representing as like that internal flame, or just having that fire that we have to keep striving to do what we do.
Very cool. Thank you for sharing. Up next, we have Michelle Long with Ayan Dagwaloshk Nole Anagalishk. If you could please tell us, describe the art pieces that you submitted.
So I'm a polymer clay artist. I learned first with traditional clay in high school, and during COVID I started using polymer clay, but these masks right here represent my boys. I have two boys. My youngest is Thunder, because you can hear him coming from a mile away. And Lightning represents my oldest son. His Leishi and Nishi, they always call him an old man, and he's very wise and mature, and he loves to fish, and when he speaks to me, it's very powerful. And and that's, to me, that's what Lightning, he stands out when he speaks. So, and then too, the Thunder Boys, or, there's my oldest son, his niece has a story about his grandpa being able to talk to the weather, and so that's another thing. As soon as I got asked to donate some pieces, I didn't have anything made, and a lot of my masks are very sentimental to me. So that's, I love my boys, and that was the first thing that came to mind.
And I think, too, you explained to me earlier, that's not their Cherokee names, that's just the name of the art piece.
Yeah, these, oh my gosh, I'm sorry, I'm nervous. They're Cherokee names. Well, my oldest son, he has a Creek name, is Waxy, but here we call him Wax or Waxy. And there's no meaning. He was just named after my grandpa Jay Fish in Oklahoma, and he's Creek. And then Zundadee is Joe's name, because when he was born, he sounded like a little baby cat, panther crying. So, yeah.
All right, thank you for sharing. And then up next, we have Tara McCoy with what is pictured is flower pigeon pot, friendship vase, and squash pot. Not pictured is mini orange wedding vase, mini white two-handle pot, mini orange two-handle pot, and woodpecker. So you submitted quite a few pieces. Could you kind of describe the art pieces that you submitted and what inspired you to create them?
So with the flower pigeon pot, it just goes back. Thank you. Sorry. So with the flower pigeon pot, I like doing the pigeon pot where it has the either 3 or 4 feet on the bottom. I just think it's, adds to the pot. As far as the flower design, that's a petal design I carved into, and so I really like it because it looks like a flower, and I've been using it a lot on my pots. But also been trying to put a background to my designs on my pot. I just think it not only fills up space, but I think it looks nicer, more uniformed. And I like doing different rims. I don't like doing the normal rims you see on pottery. And so with this pot, it kind of looks like mountains to me. But yeah. And then on the middle one, where it's the friendship vase, I liked, when I first started pottery, I would look in these magazines and I would see all these nice vases, and I was like, I really like those shapes, but I also wanted to put our designs on them. And so this is another, it's like a modern vase, but it has the friendship design on it. And so it has at the bottom it has the large friendship design, and then on the top it has the smaller, and with that I kind of used a roller for that. But the bottom one I just etched. And so this part right here is probably around, maybe 15, maybe 20 inches high. I can't remember, but it's pretty tall and it's pretty wide in the middle. So that kind of took about 24 hours to do. But it's hand coiled, and I used peel and then pit fired for color. And then with my squash pot, this is I usually do my squash pots. This is kind of going in a circle. My squash pots usually just go down and looks like a pumpkin. But I also like using nature in my pots. And so with my squash pots, sometimes I go out and get a squash leaf. I usually do them about fall time. And so I include, I just roll that leaf on it and to make the impression. But yeah, I just try to include a lot of nature in my pots. And also done an uneven rim, not as high as the one with the flower pigeon pot, but just a different rim to give it a different look.
And then why did you choose to submit these pieces for the Disruption exhibit? These were pieces that I had in inventory, and I was just trying to think of the term disruption. A lot of, well, I wouldn't say a lot, but some artists probably, every now and then they get their inspirations from artifacts or older pieces that's been done a long time ago. And with these pieces, they got different modern designs, shapes to them,
but they also have the traditional designs and traditional methods. And so that's one of the reasons why I chose these pots, is because it still connects you to the past, but it also comes in a different shape.
Okay. Thank you for sharing that. We'll move on to your...
Okay, so whoever would like to go first is welcome to, but we would like each person to answer this question. So how is art important to Indigenous communities and society as a whole?
It's important to me because my upbringing is I was surrounded by it. My mom sold, artwork here, or her crafts here. My uncles, that's one thing that inspired me to start making masks, or not wanting to learn, was because my great uncle has a big blue mask hanging in the gift shop. And I love blue. Blue is a very calming color for me. And I was just, even today, it's like seeing that mask for the first time. I'm just like, man, it's just so pretty, and I always wanted to watch him and just learn how he carved and everything. And then my great-grandma, Ellen Arnich, and her sisters, Rowena and Reva, Rowena, they all have, Rowena has baskets, the river cane baskets in the Smithsonian. Sorry, I'm nervous, I'm shaking. And my dad carved. I never knew until probably about 5 or 6 years ago, he knows how to make baskets. He found somebody threw away some white oak splints, and he brought them home and made a fishing basket out of it. And I was like, Dad, you know how to make baskets? And he said, yeah. And it's something that we take for granted here is everybody, we all play sports, or a lot of us play sports, and it's very rare that you don't have an artist in your family that's carving, making baskets, painting, even, making necklaces or, jewelry and stuff. So to me, that's something I take pride in, and it needs to be, we all need to take pride in that and share it with others, and let that, we're very special. We have, sorry if I get emotional. At our school, they teach river cane, wood carving. That's, my mask, that's where I learned, how to do Eileen Stamper, thank you. And then you have well-known artists, being our teachers. You had Bud Smith, Josh Adams, Carol Welch, she passed away. Am I missing anyone? A lot of the kids, I knew who they were. A lot of them, I grew up with their kids. I grew up around their grandmas, and we're all a family here. And where we're so close, you go outside of here and they're like, oh man, you know them? That was your teacher? And we're like, yeah, that's so-and-so's grandma, or that's my buddy I grew up with, and then when you leave here, you realize, or people outside of here see your artwork and you realize how special it is. And I'm very thankful for all what was passed down to me from, my family and my teachers along the way.
So how is art important to Indigenous communities and society as a whole? I feel that art is just an identifying marker for tribes. And what I mean by that is when you meet somebody from a different tribe, you ask, well, do Do you know your language? Do you know your ceremonies? You know your songs? You know what kind of art do you have? And so I think of it as another, just an identifier. And I think it's very important to our community because you learn when you start doing art. A lot of people start researching designs, they start researching stories, and they start researching their language or words. And so then that starts connecting you more to, you know, your ancestors, you know, learning your history more. And then you start taking pride into your work, and you start taking pride into yourself. So it kind of also is like a therapy for you also, and I like seeing that when I work with kids. I see that a lot of the kids might be like just bouncing off the walls and, you know, just jumping around, but when you sit down and you start teaching them art, or you start talking to them about the language, you know, they just sit there and it's like they're just a sponge. And I think art connects you to your culture and to your community, and I think that's why it's important. And as for society as a whole, we're more than, right now I feel that, I wouldn't say invisible, but I would say that they don't view us as maybe another human being, or they have that they're desensitized because of the stereotypes, or they think that we come from the past, you know, like we just another, like we're an artifact or a pottery shard. And I think when we do our art, we can tell our stories, and the people that come into the museum can see that, and they can see how modern we are taking our techniques and our art into society. And I think it's just a reminder to them that we're still here.
Yeah, I kind of go off that point a little bit of it being like a reminder that we're still here, because I think any kind of like creative act or act of self-expression is just like a retaliation, even if it's something small, or, you know, something we write or the way we dress or something like that. It's just sending a message to other people that we're still here. And I think that creating and just allowing yourself that space to express yourself is important, because that's like living your life to the fullest, and we're not just like surviving, you know? And it's important, I think, just to give ourselves space to do that. And we might not always like what we make, but other people could be drawn to it for whatever reason, and that starts conversations about things and brings more people together, and community is really important.
Yeah, and go off that, like, I think art in Indigenous communities allows people to connect, just like Tara was saying, like connect with who they are. Like, even if you didn't grow up here, you know, you can start to research, you can start to read, you can start to learn the history, learn the language, and it connects you to this place. It connects you to other people. And that was a big thing for me. You know, I grew up here, but I didn't grow up here. You know, I had my family. And coming into the language program, and then, you know, coming to take Tara's class, it just opened more doors for me to meet people and for people to get to know me. And it just, you know, it gives you a sense of community. It gives you a sense of place. I think that it's important for society to see our art and to see the art that's in this exhibit, because it is different. It's not what you see when you go in, and it's not an artifact. It's something new. It's something fresh. It's something that, you know, we've taken these techniques and we've put a modern spin, and it just shows that, you know, we're here and we continue to grow just like everybody else, and change and become something maybe a little different, and that's okay. So.
And then, of course, mine's going to be on the same page as the rest of them. I think art's, of course, going to be important to most indigenous communities just because, like they were saying, that connects you back to your people, to your ancestors. And like she was mentioning, of course, they didn't talk about all of it. It's just, it lets you find your roots. It lets you know who you are. And then, again, on the same page of just finding that community effort of finding all these crafters. I look at myself of 6, 7 years ago where I started from and who I barely knew compared to where I'm at now and how many people I have, how many resources there are around. And I just think it's a good thing to have art in general, these crafts, just because to me it carries on that your family name. I mean, how many families around here do we have now that are so prominent for their certain crafts that they do? And I feel like even if that family's not really doing anything in life, that name's still being carried on and it's still, being passed down. And I think it's cool to, like she was saying, just to reach back through your family lineage and find out what your family used to do and then kind of helping you get back on that same page to be doing the right thing, doing what you should have been doing and doing what your family was always doing. I think that, of course, would just give you a better sense of yourself and who you are.
And then the next question for each of you is, where do you find inspiration for your art?
Starting out, I found inspiration from the lady sitting next to me. She's my teacher. And I find it, I went for school for anthropology, so I find it in the archaeological record as well, taking something that's old and making it, something that's your own, I find very just helpful because sometimes I feel like I don't know like where to find it, so I look to what I know, and anthropology is what I know. So, but like I said earlier, like I felt like I wasn't good at the old stuff. So finding it and taking and putting that modern twist on there is what I'm trying to do. And then I also find a lot of inspiration from the language as well.
So people might get tired of hearing me say this, but I work with clay, but there's other mediums that I work with. I work with shell carving, I do beadwork, I do finger weaving, and recently I picked up basket making. And so with clay, when I first started out, clay, it was not my favorite medium. It took me a while to learn to get to like it. And the way I started falling in love with clay was I started, like, you can go clay, you can buy a bag of clay, or you can go out and dig the clay yourself. And so with that, it is like we're still on our same homeland, original homeland, and I'm digging the same clay, I'm using the same clay that my ancestors had used. And so it feels like I'm reaching back and touching them and pulling them up to the forefront and putting them, in a spotlight. And so that's where I get my inspiration from. But also, if you heard earlier, I also get my inspiration from nature. I do a lot of my squash pots. I do designs like with a peach seed, or I just find different things to use on my pots. And then just researching the designs. And I also done a number of women, and so I pull from that. Our women are strong in the community, and I thought, why not make clay women? And so I've done a number. Like I said, I've done a number of women in the past, but those are where I get my inspiration from.
I find inspiration for my art just through life experiences. It can be walking through the woods, being in the woods with my family and fishing with my family. That's my happy place. Anytime I get in a funk, I mean, it's medicine. You know, it's a part of who we are, and that's you know what we do to go. You know, where we go for healing, and but sometimes I may see a leaf, I may see a face, you know. Ever since I was little, I don't know if you know with the tribal homes how the ceilings are, but I remember laying on my bed looking up, and like I was like, you know, just like looking at the clouds, you see stuff in the clouds, and I used to be scared of clowns. It's crazy I make masks now, but I would see faces in my ceiling. And so I always think back when people ask me stuff like, how do you come up with what you're doing? I always think back, like, man, I remember laying on the trampoline or in my room and seeing faces, and or even when I'm out in the community and I see, usually our elders, if they have like very strong features, I'll like, man, so if you see a mask that looks like you or someone you know, that, but then also when I first started making masks, my nose, a lot of people think I think I have broken my nose because I had to have surgery on it, but there was a few that used to make fun of my nose because I have a hump in my nose, and so I was just like, man, I want to put my nose on all my masks, you know, and me, I have a beautiful nose. I look like my mom. She's beautiful. But I can listen to music, or somebody will say something or tell a dirty joke, or I'll find inspiration in that, or even if someone's telling me a story, or even how I'm feeling and how I use my colors on my masks. Like I said, you know, my boys bring me peace. They're my medicine, and blue to me is a medicine color for me. And I love the rain. But when I'm out in the woods, just recently I named one of my masks Agaya, and that's woman. And I read that, I just recently learned this, there's female and male pine cones. I don't know if anyone knew that, but I found female pine cones, and that those were the eyes. And me and my youngest son was walking the trail, and we found it, and we were walking around because they were on a stick and they were branched out like that. And we were like telling jokes to each other, but I have that mask put up for him. But yeah, and like Tara said, it's therapeutic. I lost my mom 4 years ago. Sorry if I get emotional. I think I'm gonna do okay talking about her. She'd be proud of me doing this, but goodness, I keep going back to it being medicine, it being therapeutic. Doing artwork to me brings me peace, because usually I'm going 100 miles an hour running from this and that, and my mind's always bouncing with ideas. But I can sit down and work on my masks all day, all night, stay up until 6 o'clock in the morning. And I'm sure if you follow me on Instagram, I'll be posting stuff at 5 or 6 o'clock in the morning and then going to work at 7. And I'm okay. But I highly suggest that to anyone going through a rough time. You know, our people didn't do it for no reason. A long time ago, everything that we did had a reason behind it, and I think that's something we need to get back to doing. And also, I have a lot of people that will want me to make like medicine masks and stuff, and to me, I won't do it, because, you know, that's the person that started making those, that's their thing. And I just try to be original and, you know, tell my story through my artwork. Just kidding.
So I find most of my inspiration for a lot of my art is just my everyday job being here at the museum. Being a cultural specialist, getting to learn new things, learn new patterns, just like you was even showing me some today. Just getting to really be thrived in this on an everyday basis. I think that really inspires me a lot. And then just even like she was saying, places I go, things we do, just like even last week I taught a mat class at the park ranger station, and then I did one with like the Cherokee Choices kids. And there was a young girl in there who, like, I give these kids their mats, and they take off, they start weaving it, and I come back around, and I was going to correct her and be like, hey, we're starting off the bottom of this wrong. She's like, no, I got it. Hang on. She took off, and a little bit later I'd come back, and she ended up weaving, it was like 2 pair of hearts into that mat that she was making, and it was one that I've never seen. I've never seen anything like it. So it's just even little things like that, just seeing new people, even like all of these artists right here, how they add their own twist and new ways on art. I think that inspires me, just being around it all. And then just really my bigger thing being inspired for doing a lot of this craft is just being one of the very few males that really have been trying to do basket making. That kind of really bums me out. I wish there was a whole lot more, that it was more of like a woman's dominated craft, but I think that's what really inspires me a lot, is kind of just breaking the cycle of what we're doing nowadays, and really just trying to hold on to it is my big inspiration, is not letting it die.
What really inspires my art, it can really, like Michelle, it can be anything. I journal a lot, so I'm writing things down a lot that I'm thinking about or learning about. And I also just spend a lot of time alone, kind of just thinking about those things. And I think that can be important too, because I think that art can help you understand yourself more. So yeah, I think it's important to have that to like go back to. And then I don't only paint, I do like printmaking, and I write like poetry and other things like that. And I've been getting into sculpture a little bit more recently. So I kind of I like to see what ideas and like what things I've been thinking about and see how I can bring that into a piece or an image.
What does it mean to you personally that ceremonial, sacred, and potentially funerary objects were removed from the permanent exhibit?
To me, I'm very excited about it just because of working here, starting out at the museum, understanding that the museum wasn't necessarily curated by us, and just the way that our story was told inside the museum. And to me, it's been one of those things of just a lot of the stuff that we had inside there, funerary items, we've always been taught as a kid, we don't talk about these things, we don't show these things. And then as I work here, why do we have these things in here? But other than that, it's just really exciting for me just to see that even though in this day and age, we're finally being able to strip that back out and put our story and our voice back in there. And then it just made me 10 times more excited that we were able to include all of the amazing and talented artists that we have in there now, just to be able to show people, like they were saying, like we're still here and we're still crafting and doing what we're doing.
I think it's an important step, I think, for everybody to, see that we have done that and that they should follow suit. There's still museums and institutions across probably the world that have things that don't belong to them. And it's important to send those home and send those back to where they belong. And I think for us to take that step, it makes me happy. I think it's huge. I think it sets a precedent. And just like you said, we're showing that our art isn't in the past. It's here, it's now. And for y'all to do that and then to bring new artwork in, I think it's really cool.
Yes, I agree both with Dylan and she, and I'm really thankful that these objects were taken down because ceremonial and sacred stuff are very personal and individually. And so we don't know what those things were for, and they could be very powerful stuff. And so, yeah, I just kind of get, just try to stay away, from those. If I know there's an object in the vicinity, don't want to get too close. But yeah, I'm really thankful that they was taken off the shelves, and I'm really honored to be able to be a part of this disruption, because it's important that, as important as we think of the objects that were there, and to be able to replace them with something that I've done, it means a lot to me to be asked to do that. And also, just to follow up on Chi, we just, new art's coming up, and so I think that's good for all the new artists coming up, to get a showcase, and to be able, for the museum to be able to start telling our story. I think that's awesome. Okay.
We're just like they said, it being ceremonial, it being sacred, not any, and there's stuff that's sentimental to you. I mean, you're not going to go out and share it with everyone. There's stuff, I mean, it may even be a necklace, it may be a pair of shoes. If it's something close to you, you're not going to go out and share it with everyone. There's stuff that we do in ceremony. Some people want to come to watch, and and I mean, just like having stuff hung up in here. You're going to have the respect for it and know where it came from, why it was made, what it was used for, and if you don't know that, and if you don't, you weren't brought up learning that, then that stuff shouldn't be on display. So I'm glad it's being removed and being placed in those places it should be.
It was really interesting to start working here and see all the items that were in there, like the beginning of last summer, and then slowly transition to this exhibition and seeing all these pieces. And I think it's just I think it's good because it provides good context for our history. Like, I feel like the exhibit still has really important historical aspects and information that are good for people to know, and it's a good mix with contemporary voices, which are important because it starts new conversations about things that are going on now that some people that come in and visit, they don't really know anything about that, and it can, pique an interest in them, and it can lead to more things in the future.
All right, and what do you hope fellow EBCI, Cherokee Nation, and UKB community members will take from the exhibit or the pieces that you created?
I would like, I hope that they take away that you can step out of the box, that you don't have to do the same thing over and over. Like, you don't have to do the, traditional vase or bowl or something. You can step out of the box and do something totally different. And still be connected to your culture, still be traditional, and you just have these modern methods that you use, and that you can also tell a story, with your art, or you can bring awareness to an issue with your art, and and that it, you know, that you can put your individual style into it and still be Cherokee or be whatever tribe that you are from or a part of. It's good.
I hope people just see that it doesn't matter if you think you're an artist or not. I think we're all artists. Because like I said, it took me a long time for me to feel like I was an artist. And so I just hope that people can find inspiration and maybe think, hey, like I can do that. I can try that. It's something that, you know, I think it's therapeutic. I think it's something that anybody can do. I mean, anybody can work with clay, you know, anybody can write a poem, anybody, you can paint something, you know, and I mean, you might not like it, but somebody else might. So just try. So I hope it's just people just get out and try and do something. So.
I'm going right off of what she said. It's just I hope they take away, like when they come through, look at a lot of our pieces, I hope they find inspiration on ways that they can make something from what we have, or just get ideas in general. But my biggest thing is just I want them to understand, of course, like they can have the voice that we had as well. How much of impact we made with all of our pieces inside here, how many questions it has raised coming through here. And I hope they take away that, you know, even though if they don't feel like they have a voice, they can make a very big statement throughout their artwork. And I hope that they, like she said, just pursues it, and I hope that they try.
Yeah, I hope that they find inspiration and know that there is a place for them, you know, within community and just their own creations. Whenever you create something, it just has it has its own essence of like it being created by another living thing, and it's just like it has its own energy, and it's really cool. And yeah, we should believe in our creations because they're powerful.
Sorry. Okay. Sorry, my mind. I'm pretty sure I have ADHD. My mind's always going. Oh, okay. I hope they take. You can tell a story, one story. You can make it a million different ways. Whether it be, you know, duct tape, clay, wires. I mean, you tell someone, make a bird. You know, you could make a bird mask or something. I mean, anything, or a sound, music. You could, you know, a million different ways. And I spoke to the middle school last year, and the kids, I was just like, man, what, going back when I was in middle school, like, what's something I wish somebody would have told me? And, you know, growing up in a home to where it's just like, you know, if anyone knows me, we're big into sports, and art was more of a provider, you know, to pay the bills. And it was, I mean, I'm not gonna lie, you know, it helps me out, and I'm sure you guys. But that's something during COVID, I was able to sit down and really sink in. And I'm like, man, I can use these pine cones, I can use porcupine quills, I can use these deer antlers. You know, you can walk outside and pick up anything and incorporate that into an art piece. But be original, you know, be original. You're Cherokee, and that's what I told the kids. I said, you know, a lot of us use designs from the past. I was like, guys, I said, you can go and sit by the water and, you know, and you can come up with your own water design. You can come up with your own friendship design. You can come up, you know, the road to Soko. I said, all these people that made these designs a long time ago, you know, they were inspired by something, you know, with strong emotion. And I was always taught, you know, if it comes from your heart, you know, you got to really think within. And when you're creating something, and whatever you make, it's going to turn out very beautiful. And, you know, say you use telephone wire, you're Cherokee, that's going to be a Cherokee piece of art. You know, it's modern. And, you know, even if you're not you know, a sculptor or whatever, you know, I asked those kids, I said, are there any rappers in here? And they're like, me. I said, you can rap in our language, you know, learn the language, you know. And that's, you know, with my artwork, that's what I do. I try to take language classes as much as I can. I'm a tribal Head Start teacher. Well, today was my last day, and I'll start the Cherokee Language Apprentice Program Monday. But, you know, whatever your interests are, incorporate your language as much as you can. Use it, and get outside. Be outside.
What do you hope that other museum visitors take from the exhibit?
Mine's very simple, but my thing is I hope all of the visitors when they come into our museum is just like they were saying, like I hope they get really took off guard that they're not coming here to look at artifacts, but they're also coming here to look at like all of our artwork, and that's just right down to the point. I just hope that they take away that we're still here, and as they leave, they're like, man, look at all the beautiful artwork that they're still making today. And then hopefully it gives them more of insight to learn more about us, to really get to see who we are. And then, so I feel like a lot of these older artworks don't really show a lot of the personality, like a lot of the flair is on all of these crafts nowadays. So I hope that they can take that away. It's just, we're still here.
I was pretty much going to say the same thing. You know, I mean, like we've set it up here, like all evening, just that, you know, we're not in the past anymore. Like, we are still here. We're current. We are relevant. We are artists. We are, you know, a community. And I just hope that, you know, people come in here, you know, maybe they're expecting to see artifacts, and hopefully they're pleasantly surprised to see, you know, current Indigenous art that tells a story that makes them stop and think, and maybe, hopefully, maybe want to learn a little bit more about who we are now, as well as who we were in the past. So.
Yes, I agree with Dylan and Chi. That we, you know, I hope that they take away that we're still here, but I also would like for them to see that this is Cherokee. This is a Cherokee story, and not, you know, some other tribe. And I want them to realize that there's a lot of other tribes out there. But when you come to Cherokee and you come to Cherokee Museum, then you will see our story. That's how it's good.
Mine would be growing up working in craft shops, all the questions you get, just learning and being respectful and respectful of all, you know, of all tribes. And yeah, mine just, yeah, that. Just understanding and just learning, you know, we are still here, and, you know, we're not living how we used to be living or how another tribe, you know, lived, and just being respectful of, you know, the community and the artwork and everything.
I mean, y'all pretty much said it already. I totally agree. And I would hope that they just feel challenged to confront maybe stereotypes that they associate us with, or what they already think the truth is. Yeah.
All right, and then this will be our last question of the night. What are your hopes and dreams for future Cherokees or other Indigenous people who decide to become artists?
Well, I don't think we just decide to become artists. I think we all are artists, and we all have that capability to create things. And I would just want to tell people to not be afraid. And fear can feel very real and hold us back from a lot of things. I'm very nervous to be doing this right now. But it's important to put yourself out there, and you might fail and you might make something you don't like or say the wrong thing, but you're trying, and that's what matters most, honestly.
Mine's pretty simple, but my thing is, my hopes and dreams for even any Cherokee artist, just any artist in general, is just hope that, just like we've all kind of hit earlier, just hope that they do research on their family, their history, mainly just finding their roots, figuring out who they are and where they come from, and hoping that they find a new way to plant that in this generation to keep that going.
And as an artist later in life, I'm not old by any means, but but you know, I found it, you know, in my late 30s. So I think my hope is that everyone, no matter how old they are, knows that they're an artist and they can try, and it's never too late. You can always pick up something. If you don't know where to start, here's a great place to start, the museum. I mean, you guys have classes, and you know, they're always open to the community, and try, you know. I mean, Tara talked me into taking her pottery class, and I was like, okay, I'll do it. And I think it was the best thing I've done. You know, it's given me a voice, and it's given me something that is therapeutic for me. And something that connects me. And so I just say, just don't be afraid. Just try. Just get out there. And no matter how old you are, just try.
Dang. Mine would be, like Chi said, there's classes, art classes, language classes. Take them. I know we all get busy living. You know, even Stomp, you know, try to attend those and be a part of the community, because that's something with all Native culture is community. And sometimes when we get busy living with, you know, school, work, sports, or I mean other events, we get busy doing that and put, you know, our culture on, you know, to the side. And the kids that attend, you know, the school, you know, the Cherokee school, if any of them are listening, you know, take those classes. You never know what you're good at until you try it. And sometimes it may take a year, 2 years, or, you know, you may learn it, and then 10 years down the road, you may pick it up and, you know, excel at it. But yeah, learn your culture. Be a part of it as much as you can.
So my hopes and dreams for future Cherokee artists is, you know, just be happy when you create, and be honest, and to be respectful, you know, to the resources, to your art. You know, if you're going to dig clay, you don't have to dig 20 buckets, you know. Dig only what you need. Or if you do baskets, you know, you don't have to cut down 10 trees. Or, you know, just be respectful to the resources and to the environment. but I also like to see you succeed, and that will be my. I like seeing our people succeed and be happy, but I also would like to see galleries. One day I'd like to have my own gallery. One day I'd like to see you guys have a gallery. It's possible. It just takes a lot of work, and people, I think they. When you do that, it's a job. And so, and I think that might be one of the reasons why there might not be, as many galleries as there are here. But I think it's possible here, and that's the new step for Cherokee. Is I know we have some around, but I think we could have more, and know that you don't have to do traditional art. Step out of that box and create something new, but let it be you and let it be your story, and just give that honor and respect. Shki.
All right, Shki Nagad, and that will conclude our conversation tonight. Thank you.